My science teacher. My daughter's a senior and she's at Outlook.
Right.
Yeah. Lead the way.
Yeah, they go.
Thanks, everybody coming. Stand for pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, public forum sign up in the back there. Yes, book. We haven't been signed up for anything out there.
Yeah, not yet. I don't know who Michelle is. We're at time for public comment allocation.
Perfect, okay. And announcements.
I wanted to remind everybody, May 28th is Senior Awards Night. We believe at 6:30, Jenny will be going to the scholarship for the board that night. Friday, June 6th is high school graduation. That'll be Henry and myself attending. Tuesday, June 10th is 8th grade promotion. If anybody would like to go, I will be there.
Very good.
And then we do have our end of the year staff celebration get together. It'll be starting at 3:30 and going till about 7 on Thursday, June 12th. Yes, is that right? The 12th.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And it'll be out at the what's the name of the
Top wire.
Top Wire?
Oh,
Again, yeah, so I'll send you an invite again and remind you. If you, we have a couple of food trucks coming, so if you want to come and eat, we would meet in person, so we know. So that is all.
Is our truck gonna be out there?
Our food, we decided we did not want our food truck out.
Oh. Okay.
It's okay.
Another time. Same thing. I want to know if anyone's been getting coffees before they have to go in to teach or anything. Has that been happening yet?
Oh, no, with the food truck yet, not yet, yeah.
It'll be
It'll
exciting
be-
when.
It will be, yes, yes.
Okay.
So that's the only announcement.
Approval of minutes.
Does anybody have any edits or? No, okay. Then I move that the Derby School District #1 Board of Directors approve the working and regular session of the minutes from April 15th, 2025.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Very good.
Michelle, I've given you permission to talk. I don't know if you want to make any public comment on anything.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't. I'm just here. I didn't want to speak or anything.
Yeah.
Did I raise my hand or something? Did I have my hand raised?
No, you're fine. No, you're fine.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just had nothing else to do tonight. Thought I'd listen in.
What did you do? All right, thank you.
Very good. That's awesome. All right, reports. You have student council
We
folks.
do have our illustrious
Hey.
student council representatives here tonight.
You know, it's not in my spot.
Okay, first of all, how many days you have left? Are you counting?
For what?
For school to be done.
No,
Oh,
the
good.
senior year is. We don't want it
We
to
don't-
go.
Oh.
Yeah, I already cried.
Oh, great. Now let it cry.
Yeah.
I'm excited. We're glad you love it so much here.
Yes.
I could arrange for you to come back for this year.
No, I need that extra year for college.
Yeah.
Alright, so do you want to start? Okay. Oh, no.
Track and field are doing really well. This season they had full PRs and improvements. We really have a good amount of athletes coming out this spring. We'll have our district meet on the 22nd and 23rd of May, Portland Christian. Tomorrow's meet is at Regents Track.
And softball has been doing good. This season has been really well. Tomorrow is senior night. They have a double header versus Regis. And then, do you want to talk about athletics?
Okay.
You got it.
Our meeting in May, we got reelected. I got reelected as secretary for my last year. And
Don't cry right now.
no, I actually cried that day. I cried twice. It's because I had two news. I got into the OSU veterinarian camp and I got reelected.
Awesome.
Yeah,
It's a winner.
I got
Joyful tears.
yeah. And we spoke up our like upcoming events like our alumni banquet and our spring banquet that's gonna be literally next week on the 20th. You guys should come and support our chapter and some of our coming soon practices. Some of them you can go like, when Metzger's does the plant sale after we can have like if you volunteer that day, Metzger can stay a bit and like kind of help you with your animal. And the plant sale, the weekends are doing really good. We really are doing really good. And I'm like, I know, cause I gone there and I was like, okay, yeah. Cause I know a lot of people, so I have like a lot of them going. So I'm like, okay, I know I'm putting my money in here. And then our alumni auction was really good and successful. It was really fun. It was like we had it way more organized. Last year, like it was organized, but this one's like it was like so like spring coming to like FFA. It was kind of really cute. And the setup was quick. We only did 2 hours. We got the job done.
Good job.
Yeah.
You're hired.
And then yearbook, the yearbook team has finally submitted the yearbook, and now, yay! For that, we're just waiting on them, and they're gonna have a distribution party and signing party on June 6th, same day as graduation night for the seniors. And then the Inkling, I guess they're just working on this last paper for the school year. Like everything's coming to an end for this school year. And then some events we had were prom, as you guys know, May 10th at Vanderbeck Valley Farm. That was a really good night, I'd say.
Yeah.
Very successful. And then do you want to talk about other events you had?
For Spear Week, Spear Week was really a fun dress up day. So Monday was athletic versus mathlete. On Tuesday was construction day. Wednesday was meme day. Thursday was throwback Thursday, and Friday was rapper versus napper. But in reality, it was like a rhyme without reason. I didn't get that because it just said on the poster, and then at the end it was like really like not that big on the sign. It just said rhyme without things. So I dressed up as a napper, and then no one dressed up as a rapper. So the guys.
You were one of a kind.
Yeah, I woke up early. I was like, you know what? I was gonna be rapper. And I was like, I want to be rapper. But I was like, you know what? No, I just wanna go. It's the last day. I just wanna go. So I and no.
And yeah, and then I think that and then teacher appreciation week also. Many of the teachers got many snacks. They got a snack cart. They got a car wash. Some of the teachers received swag, or I mean, all the teachers received swag, and then they also like tried these new trending drinks. I think like I don't know if you guys seen those like the drinks and then they add syrup into them and it's like I don't know. I think they're called dirty sodas. Don't quote me on that.
Right, you're good.
Right, I think
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what they gave out to the team.
A clean, clean soda. And a Red Bull, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's it from us today.
Do you guys have any questions?
Questions, comments?
So you said rappers and nappers?
Yeah.
What is a nap? I'm not old. I'm not old, so I'm sorry.
Like basically you go with PJs. Like if you're in a nap.
Oh, that's all of us.
Oh, so it's actually what you were meaning, napping.
Yeah. We just call it napper.
Totally used that at home tonight.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
See you until next year.
Thank you so much.
That's a tough act to follow.
It is. I don't have quite the comedy. Not yours, cute.
Here you go. I don't, you can do it as.
No, we're totally good. Okay.
Good boy.
So we're kind of in the throes of a very busy time of the year. We got all of our state testing wrapped up and alpha testing just to be able to start our end of year iReady math and reading testing. And there's been some really amazing results that are coming in there with kids super excited. There's these typical and stretch growth goals, and we're celebrating the kids this year who meet their stretch growth. So it's been fun, them catching me in the hallway in their classrooms, telling me what their score is and asking me if they met it. I don't carry in my back pocket everybody's stretch growth, but they're like so excited to know if they made the party or not. But it's been fun to watch. You know, we've got a lot of things as we're kind of ratcheting down this year with a ton of field trips to the Philip Foster Farm, the Youth Farm, to OMSI, to Kaiser Rapid Parks, to BizTown, to the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum. We just had the Imago Theater come and do a whole theater production, masks in our school. But as we're kind of like ratcheting down with all that stuff, we're now ramping up with all the master schedules, interventions for next year. So it just feels like a really busy time of year. But I just want to share just a few highlights, if I could. And I'll start with, oops, I want to edit this. We'll do that. So this is a quote that came out of our BST. Julie Chanel shared this, and I think it really captures, I think, something in the elementary school that you really live with on the daily. If some students are unresponsive, maybe you can't teach them yet, but you can love them today. Maybe you can teach them tomorrow. And you see that a lot with kids, that it's always that long game approach. Relationships are everything. And then you see these really amazing academic successes once you've invested in the relationship. So I just want to share a few things along those lines. And we've shared this before, but the core values in the strategic plan were then created into the priorities at Jervis Elementary School. And so we've tried to really to live that strategic plan. And I'm just going to give a story to illustrate each of these, if I could. First off, so in equity, so we're committed to ensure access and inclusion for each student and family. On the left is Troy. This is a student who started the year in the FLC classroom, who's been through some pretty unimaginable trauma in his life, being raised by his great-grandmother, and there's been some real struggles, behavioral struggles. But we've been able to start doing a push-in model, and he's now 100% in a gen ed classroom. Trevor Nielsen, his assigned classroom teacher, was the previous year's behavior specialist who had been working with Troy, building up a lot of those skills and that relationship. Susan Smith and her team in the FLC have done a remarkable job. Barb Buckles, our behavior specialist, invested a lot of support in Troy. And it's just an amazing thing. So today I'm in the classroom and they're reading a book, The Prince and the Frog. And the teacher was asking, what does glum mean? His hand was up that fast and had this huge elaborate response. But to see him totally engaged in the classroom, it's just phenomenal. So again, when you invest in those relationships, then you can start seeing those academic dividends pay off later on. We've also shared about Lady. Lady had transferred away to Woodburn, diagnosed with cancer and tumor on her brain, and then they dropped her, and that's when she came back to us. And we've been blessed to be able to send a tutor over to her home every day. And Rachel Bottomley is just angelic in how she works with Lady. I've been blessed to be able to go over several times to help with that tutoring. And I've come with a whole bag full of like academic options and games. And what she always choose? Always schoolwork. She always wants schoolwork. And we bring her lunch every day because she wants to have that connection. She was just asking this week if we could do an indoor recess again and bring some friends over. But just phenomenal. Over the weekend, she couldn't eat, she couldn't walk. This was taken this week as she was kind of snapping out of a really bad spell. The treatments have been really hard. She's going to endure the treatments all the way through next December. So this is still a long stretch. But again, to see this kind of connection, it's priceless. And so again, we got the staff, I think, are compassionate enough to make these connections with students like this. The next one is about integrity. So increasing engagement and academic rigor for each student. And I kind of have to catch myself because on our Facebook page, I often find myself posting science pictures because the Twig Science program has been awesome and it lends itself so much to this. Well, this just happens to be this week. This is a first grade classroom in Ruth Lawryder's room, and they're talking about plants and the products that they produce. And so kids were given all of these different plants and then the products, and we're trying to match them. And it was quite fun because there's everything from like soybeans and cocoa beans and coconuts to dragon fruit. And these kids were quite perplexed on some of these, trying to make matches. But it was beautiful to watch because every single kid was fully engaged. You know, we've got a student here, Emily, who recently arrived from Guatemala, whose academics and language is so low, but she is just in the mix of that activity with her peers and just watching all of the collaboration. I mean, every kid was fully engaged in that activity. It's been really great to see again, through some really great teaching, through some really good curriculum, to really see kind of this higher level student engagement. It's really, really fun to see. The next one is excellence, providing targeted academic interventions for each student. Nevin here, there's a video that came our way about a month or two ago. It was him reading his first book. He's a first grader. He read it in front of his class. It was just like, the teacher was almost in tears sharing it. So much support going to this kiddo. Again, who's been through some really, really hard things at home. This is our student teacher, Julie Dubuque. She is a gem. And her mentor teacher, Christine Underwood, is absolutely amazing. But to watch, this was just taken today, watching her lead this classroom through this writing activity. And here's our friend Nevin, just an emerging reader, gaining some of that confidence. And you can't see it from here, but what he's writing, it's so inspiring. So again, it's just when you get just the right people in this kid's lives, providing just the right interventions, to then start seeing that breakout moment when he sees himself as a learner, as a reader. So it's been really fun to see. But again, trying to meet each kid where they're at. The next one is about relationships. Build connections to support each student and family. And this is our student talent show, which was an absolute hoot. We had all sorts of like gymnasts and dancers. We had science experiments and pianists. We had bicyclists and football throwers. The funny one is we had some girls who were doing all sorts of gymnastics, and there was no cartwheel shorts involved when there should have been. I would just say there's white reactions for everybody because they cartwheeled over and over again. But so that was edited out of the film. Don't worry. But I just want to show one small clip. This is a student named Harlan who has been through trauma that no child should ever have to endure. Came to us as a second grader and was one of the hardest kids that we've had to work with. And to watch him now as a fourth grader is unbelievable. He's now in his classroom. He's engaging with his peers. He's never been to an assembly. He just doesn't go in. He refuses to go in because it feels overwhelming. He's been razzing me though about how he's so much better football thrower than I am, and he's just been trash talking. And so I said, okay, I'm signing up for the talent show, and we're going to throw the football. So we were practicing that week throwing the football during his down times, and he would throw about 8 times and tell me how sore his arm was. But I schemed like this whole idea, and we never practiced this. But we had his friends come out of the audience to hold up hula hoops, and he threw 2 hula hoops, then 4 hula hoops, then 6 hula hoops, then 8 hula hoops, then 10, then 12. And I'm going to show you just the last clip because the kids are having a hard time holding the hula hoops out. So like you're going to see one throw that was a fail because the hula hoops were not straight, and then the success. But you should have seen the response from the school and in the life of this kid. Again, a kid who had never been to assembly, who now ends up being the star of one of these talents. So let me just take you to that little moment because it's kind of a beautiful little thing if I can get this to play. Or not.
Will it not let me play because I only have you permission?
No, you should be able to. That's fine. Anyway,
We will get it.
it's beautiful. It is beautiful. Yeah. But again, Harlan throws it through all 12 hula hoops, and it's just this really cool moment. Again, relationships are everything. When a kid knows that you care that fiercely about them, they'll do anything for you. The last one is community, and that's developing a feeling of community at school for each family. I love when these field trips happen. The number of families going, it's overwhelming in such a cool way. We love that. This is our family code night, partnering with the South Metro STEAM Partnership. They gave us a $5,000 grant to put on this night. It was catered by Luis's Taqueria. We had some great families there, staff there, and it was fun to watch families engage with their kids with this coding. And the message that night that we shared is that families really need to limit screen time to an hour, but to make it very creative and constructive use. Scratch coding comes from MIT. We give that as a free resource to all our families. So look, if your kid's gonna be on screen for an hour, do something really cool with that hour. And so we're sharing this out, but it's just so fun to watch families engage. And then we give away loads of prizes, including drones that were a couple $100 a piece, and full-load cameras and robots. And just the kids went home just so darn excited. So it's fun to be able to put on events like this to bring the community in. And just again, this is the shirt that we wear on Fridays, and it's so fun to see kids wearing them, parents wearing them as they came in on the field trips. But we really are trying our very best to reach for greatness every day in everything we do. This month, our trait is excellence, and just really trying to help our kids to try their very best at everything they do. And so just feel very blessed to have such an amazing team. And those are just a few highlights of us trying to live out, hopefully, the mission and vision of the district, but in the lives of these kids with such an amazing staff to do that. So, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tony. Middle school.
Mine is as uplifting as something.
I'm sure it's wonderful.
I'm sure. I will start with, you were talking about relationships. Kim Bela was talking to me after school today, and she's like, boy, Tony, relationships just kind of smacked me in the face today. She said she went over to a student who was a 7th grader who's very bright, but not very motivated. And she said, I looked and he was supposed to be working on something and had done absolutely nothing. And she said, instead of talking about that, she said, I talked about track. And she talked to him about, I saw you doing track. I came and watched you and you're really, really fast. And how did this last track meet? And just kind of talked about that. And she said she walked away, came back later, and the whole thing was done. And she said, that's relationship. You got to build that relationship. They got to know that you care. And when they know that you care about them as a person, they will do exactly what Dusty said. They will do what you want them to do. They will do everything for you. And she was like, it was just a really good reminder about relationships. So 8th graders did go to OSU. They went on April 1st. They had a really great time. This was funded by Gear Up. We had our 6th graders go to Lynn Benton. We tried to get 7th graders to go to a private 4-year college, but the ones around here don't seem to want 70 kids at one time. And we didn't want to take 2-3 days of school time to do this. So we'll figure out something more for next year. But I think this is huge, taking kids to this, just opening their world to let them see what is out there. Because who knows, some of these kids might be like, oh my gosh, their senior year, I want to go to OSU. I remember going there as an 8th grader. And they lucked out and had really good weather. It was really, really good. So we finished state testing. I think this was more the teachers than the students, quite honestly.
I just watched this little guy all day. But
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, very fun. I'm going to stand up because this is a little confusing. So we don't have 100% in, but we probably have 95% of our results in. So this is ELA, so this is the English language, and then we have math, and then we have science. So the way this reads, 6th grade, this is the school, GMS, and then this is the state, and this is passed, okay? So for ELA, I'll say I think our ELA, English language, is doing really, really well. So for 6th grade, 39% passed compared to the 41% for the state. 7th grade killed it. Look at this. 55% of our 7th graders passed their state test compared to 44% of the state. That is cool. 8th grade struggled a little bit, 37% compared to 41%, but they're not that far off. Math is a struggle, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. 6th grade, only 19% passed for our building. compared to 27% of the state. 7th grade, 23% passed compared to 30, and 8th grade, only 15% of them passed compared to 27. Science is also struggling, 11% passed compared to 26% of the state. This right here, I want to point out, we're definitely thinking all of this trajectory, I can't even talk, is going to be going up, and I do have some stuff to show you that. But this is our last group that, as 6th graders, only had half a year of science and half a year of history, and had little to no science in elementary school. So really the science that they're being tested on is really half a year of 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. So we're now going to see a big change in that because our kids have had a full year of science now for a couple of years, and they're doing a lot, as you saw down in the elementary school. So these numbers should really start going up. And we really like Twig too. We also have Twig, and science teachers really like it. I did want to compare, this is last year. So these are the same kids. So these 5th graders are our 6th graders. Does that make sense? So last year for ELA, 33% of them passed. This year, 39% passed. Last year, 35% passed, 55% passed. That was a huge jump for those same kids. And then 7th graders who are now 8th graders, 31% passed and 37% passed now. So it is getting better. Our ELA, I think, is definitely where we want it to go. Math, again, is a struggle. So as 5th graders, only 14% passed. This year, 19% passed. As 6th graders, 22% passed last year, 23% this year. This one, I'm not sure. As 7th graders, 25% passed, only 15% passed as 8th graders. I think part of this is Helen Warburg is the 8th grade math teacher. She was gone for 3 months because she fell at conferences in the fall and broke her hip, and she was out for 3 months. And I hate to say it, the sub we had was terrible. It was terrible. Rudy Silva basically taught the class, who is an IA in the class, because he's worked with Helen for years. He basically taught the class for 3 months because the sub was that bad. So when she came back, it was almost like going back 3 months and almost starting all over. That 3 months, honestly, we pretty much lost. And maybe that's why that is. And then this is a little confusing. So this is last year's. So they're now freshmen in high school because they only do the science test 5th grade and 8th grade. So we couldn't compare last year. So last year's 8th graders, 12% passed compared to 26, and this year 11%. So pretty much about the same number of kids passed. We'll go to the next slide. So I had to go old school because I couldn't figure out how to get this up on the screen. So this is something we honestly just kind of stumbled upon. Michael Mulcairn stumbled upon this just this week and showed it to me. So this is pretty cool. This is a longitudinal report. Want to look? So I started with ELA because that's doing pretty good. So if you look at this first one, so this is our current 6th grade. So you can see, and I love looking at the dots, you can see them going up. So this is 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. They're doing that trajectory we should be seeing. They're going up. And if you look at the bottom, that's what you want to see the red doing. The red is going down. The reds are level 1s. Those are our really struggling students. Okay, so that's what we want to see. 7th grade. Look at the 7th grade jump. Look at that going from 4th to 5th to 6th to 7th. They are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're getting better every year. And then this is our 8th grade. Again, you can see the red line is going down, which is what you want to see. And look at that green line and the blue line. Those are our passers. They are going up. So they're doing what they're supposed to be doing in ELA. Math is a little bit of a struggle. So here's our 6th grade math students. You can see 3rd grade to 4th grade. I don't know who those 3rd grade math teachers are. Mr. Price, 3rd grade math teachers, boy, they did great guns with math that year. Look at that big jump. Something happened with 4th grade. They kind of dipped down a little bit. And then from 5th to 6th, we had that big jump again. So there was a big jump this year, so that's good. That's good. Looking at 7th grade, there's our trajectory going straight up for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. They're going up. And then our 8th graders, these are our struggling kids. You can see the red is going down, which is good. Those are our ultra struggling students. Those are our level 1 students that are very, very, very low. You can see from 5th to 6th, there was a little bit of an improvement, huge improvement from 6th to 7th. That's Michael Mulcairn. That would be who is teaching that. 7th to 8th was also mostly Michael. And there's our 8th grade at the end where they are right now. So they are getting better, but there's a ways to go in math, especially. So taking that, the next screen, here's the plan for next year. So right now we currently have 7 class periods. One of those class periods is half an hour long. That is our homeroom. The rest of the other 6 class periods are roughly 56 minutes long. And that includes our electives and core classes and PE. Next year, we're going to 8 class periods. And we're lengthening our day by 10 minutes. So instead of getting out at 3, they're going to get out at 3:10. Yes, the classes do. The time has to shrink down to 49-minute classes. But with doing that, we're continuing the races. The races is that writing thing that obviously is working in ELA. So we're definitely continuing with that. That's also part of the district strategic plan. And every student will have an intervention class next year. And that's why we have an 8th period, because every single student is going to have a specific class, and it's going to be either ELA, math, or both, and I'll explain how that works. There will be a challenge class. This is the class for those kids that don't need that intervention. They've got ELA, they've got math. Those are our passing kids. Think of this like the tag, but it's not going to be just our tag kids. It's going to be our kids that are doing great in those classes. They're going to have a challenge class for their intervention. Then there's going to be a SPED class and a specific ELD class. In the past couple of years, the ELD has been mixed in with either language arts or science. I don't think that is working. So there is going to be a specific ELD class. So every single 6th, 7th, and 8th grader will have an intervention. These are going to be based on their iReady scores, which they're in the middle of taking right now. iReady is more a diagnostic than the state testing. So we're going to be looking at their iReady, and then I've asked for it from 5th grade too, so we're going to get it from the incoming 6th graders. And then we're going to be placing them in for a semester in ELA, math, and if they're a kid that needs help with both, then we'll see. But right now we're thinking the first semester, I'll just make it up, first semester, maybe they'll have ELA intervention, and then second semester, they'll go into math intervention. If they're only struggling in math, they'll do math all year. If they're only struggling in ELA, they'll do ELA all year long. So this will be really plugging those holes. Like we're finding, especially with math, the kids don't know their multiplication tables. And I know it's drill and kill. And I taught 5th grade for 10 years, and the kids didn't like it very much. But when you asked them to find an area of a rectangle, and it was 6 times 8, they knew 6 times 8 is 48, and they could do it. Kids nowadays, they can't do it. Give them a calculator, they can do it. But take that calculator away, and that's part of state testing. It's not, luckily, it's not a big chunk of it. They're putting up less and less, which is good. But that's really where they're struggling. They can't do it. So we're going to be doing, I hate to say it, especially in math, we're going to do a little bit of that drill and kill. You've got to get those multiplication tables. You've got to get that number sense down. You've got to get that to be able to do those higher level math. Electives. So some of them are the same we have this year. Every student will have an elective and they will get to pick them. So we're going to have a creative writing class. So writing newspapers, writing fiction stories, writing dramas, doing plays. We're going to have a STEM class, a robotics and coding class. Part of the grant that Dr. Helms got, he helped pay for some of this. So Mr. Hill is going to be doing a robotics and coding class, and he got some things that he's going to be able to use for that. We're going to be doing a personal finance, which I love this idea. This is that learning how to do a checkbook, learning how to fill out an application, learning how to do X, Y, and Z. This is going to be a mixture of anthropology and archaeology class. Then we're going to have a band, leadership, which we've had for years. And these now are going to be the only two that we share with the high school, is an art. And then first semester is going to be FFA, second semester is horticulture. So the rest of these will be taught by middle school teachers. These two are taught in the high school. And it's going to be first period to do our electives because we have 8 class periods. High school only has 7. That's the best way for it to align. We have to align with them because of these 2 teachers. So we're going to be doing elective first period. Maybe that'll get the kids to come to school on time because their fun classes is going to be first period. But also they're half asleep first period. So by the time we hit second period, which is prime teaching time, they're going to be more awake to have those conversations, to be that learning, etc. So, and then what's coming up? Crazy time of year. Crazy time of year. This is literally tomorrow. 7th grade is going to a field trip to the Oregon coast. They leave at 6:30 in the morning, get back at 4:30. Yep. So they're gone all day long. By May 23rd, which is next Friday, but it's probably going to be before that, we will get that iReady diagnostic done for math and reading. So, so that will be totally finished. Next week is the 6th grade overnight outdoor school. Been talking about it all year. Most of the kids are going. We do have a few that are not. And unfortunately, a lot of the Russian boys aren't going, which I'm really sad to hear. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's their choice or their parents' choice. We did have Amanda Braswell has been in charge of outdoor school this year. So she called all the parents that spoke English, parents that spoke Spanish. Maria, our office manager, called them to ask why aren't they going and tried to get them to go. I think we did end up with about 18, I think, that out of a class of 72 that are not going. So May 23rd is that Friday, is that makeup day. 5th grade teachers with Mr. Price, the middle school teachers will be meeting that afternoon for about an hour or so to talk about those incoming 6th graders. What can we do to get them up to what we need to do for middle school, etc. Friday, May 30th, invitations. I love this word. We'll go home for summer school. So again, looking at those iReady scores.
No RSVP required.
Yeah. See you there. See you there. Thursday, June 5th is the middle school all-school barbecue. The kids love this. The teachers are out there serving and making. We have literally the barbecue out there doing hamburgers. The kids just love that. Friday, June 6th is that Urban Air Adventure Park that I got permission from you guys to do. The students have to pass all their classes all year, so that's being really pushed right now. I believe we have 150 of our 206 students that right now are eligible to go. Monday, June 9th is the 8th grade go to Oaks Park. They have to have a C- or better second semester to be able to do that. Tuesday, June 10th is 8th grade promotion at 7 p.m. And then Thursday, June 12th is the last day of school, field day for the 6th and 7th grade. 8th grade have been promoted, and that is the last day of school. So lots to happen in 18 days, but who's counting? So that's what's going on. So, yeah. Question?
Enjoy the next 18 days.
Yeah.
I really wish there was a way that you could do the personal finance without having it to be elected. I just think that's so important. and
Yeah.
I think it's really missing.
I do too. And Danny keeps much better track of what's happening in the legislature and stuff because I've heard rumors that they're talking about maybe requiring that in high schools. Doug might know more.
It is
Andrew.
hard. It's
Yeah, yeah. So, and kids usually also have fun with it. So I think it's going to be a really good class.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, to prepare them and then to have that happening in high school is, thank God.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And Andrew said he loved your sweater on the TV. We want to know where you got it.
My what?
Your sweater.
Yeah.
She said it looked great on the screen.
Oh, my standard in front of me.
Yeah.
I kept looking at Tony's armpit.
Welcome, Andrew. Thanks, Andrew. Welcome.
Thank you. Do you want the clicker?
I can cook for you,
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
I'm just Vanna,
You're
you know.
just Vanna
I'm just
today.
Vanna, yeah. I'm Vanna every month.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, cool. All right. So there's our enrollment. Looks like we lost a couple 10th graders, one 11th grader, one 12th grader. 67 coming in next year for the freshman class. But we always know that that goes up. We get a lot of freshman Russian students specifically that transfer into the district. So we're expecting our enrollment to go up for the most part. And then let's referrals. That's everyone's favorite thing. We're in spring for sure. You can ask Doug. So referrals have gone up for the most part, March, April, May. I put 3 question mark, might be a couple more coming out of that. But we are definitely dealing with student behavior quite a bit right now at Jervis High School. But Doug and I are completely all over it. So are the front office ladies. We've been doing a really good job of holding students accountable for their behavior because it's spring.
So what kind of behavior? I'm curious. I mean, you sent out a letter. Sorry, I'm just gonna jump in. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw a letter that came out from the district that basically said that, I mean, there's some TikTok video thing going on. I don't use TikTok, forgive me. And that it's basically due to technology, right? I mean,
So what they're
So
doing,
there were
okay. So,
who wants to talk? Doug, are you talking or I'm talking?
can you mute him?
I'll talk.
So the TikTok videos, they take the charging ports, they put metal and like pencil lead or something like that, and you hold it in there, it'll actually start smoking. And it could cause a fire. So we had 5 boys that we caught that confessed to that.
So
So
are those like this kind of the referrals we're talking about? That's what
that's,
I'm wondering.
yeah, it's that. And then it just some, bad behavior, stuff that they shouldn't be doing at school.
That's a lot, 5, right? I
So
mean,
5 kids up for the
computers.
Chromebook, yeah.
But I would say Doug and I got really, really creative about that. And we actually sat down with the boys a couple times. And Doug was smart. And we actually looked up minimum wage. It was 5 students, 3 Chromebooks that were damaged. We looked up minimum wage, figured out the math, and basically gave them the choice. You're either going to pay $210 or, because that was the math within the 5 of them, or you're going to do 14 hours of community service, which also equaled out to the same amount. So a lot of those boys are choosing to do the community service and they will fulfill that before the end of the year.
So we actually sent a letter home with the boys
Mhm.
for their parents to check which box they're gonna choose. And then the student had to sign and the parent had to sign.
Oh,
So we know it went home.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicely done. That
Yeah,
was
that's
good.
awesome.
Yeah, and the other things are, it's like vaping in the bathroom, that kind of thing. Like that's clearly still going on. We have the vaping sensors. It's just typical teenage behavior in the springtime. We haven't had any fights or anything like that.
That's good.
Okay,
They're like,
yeah.
Which is great. Like we haven't had any serious student altercations. It's just, stupid teenage behavior, in my opinion. Attendance, it's gone up. Right? And then, so we started a really big campaign with our seniors. We had a big senior meeting and met with all the seniors and told them, hey, you got to have like 91% attendance to graduate or go to prom. And so that's encouraged a lot of them to start coming to school more, even when they don't necessarily need to be there because of their class or their, schedule or whatever. but we have had 8 seniors with continual absenteeism, who had continual absenteeism problems, have improved without the month of May. So that's a positive for us. We have a new IA that's going to be hired for our resource room. It's not the resource room, that's the wrong word. For the new FLC, for FLC, we've shifted one employee from the FLC room to the resource room. Summer school hiring, as far as I know, is pretty much done and finalized, which is great. We have all the employees we need for that. We're going to do 3 weeks. It used to be 2 weeks. It's 3 weeks because of the calendar this year. So that's really, really good. We have evening school Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays with POF, the alternative teacher. He has been amazing. He's gotten food. He like serves food to the kids, pizza, sandwiches, whatever, every Tuesday and Thursday. And Creighton has been supplying that through his budgets, and POF arranges it. And it's been really, really good. We started with like 2 or 3 kids 3 weeks ago, and we're up to like 20 plus attending. And so what we're trying to do is eliminate how many kids we have to take to summer school. But POF has been really great with that. He's feeding them 4 to 7, and they're getting stuff done. I know everyone kind of talked about this. State testing is completed, thank God. And then we do have a new syllabi template that we're gonna develop for next school year, because we want all of our teachers to have kind of the same format for all of their classes. Graduation, June 6th on a Friday night this year. So that'll be at 7 p.m. Same kind of format, Jervis High School gym. We had our student showcase, which was a success for the people that showed up. We didn't have as many families show up as we would like to, but it was great. The teachers actually did a really, really good job of showing, all the things that are going on in their classes and that sort of thing. Engagement remains a key focus for us always. I'm always going to bring that into the presentation. We did have an 8th grade parent night. I don't know how many families on the top of my head showed up, but I would want to guess like 35 families probably came to that. And we did a presentation and served dessert, and kind of Kim Villa was there, and she presented for the 8th graders, the end of 8th grade. And then I got up and Doug and I talked a little bit about the transition to high school. We do that event every year. So that was good. Few things coming up for college and career and CTE. May 9th, there's going to be an arts, humanities, and education event. May 16th, a STEM event, and May 23rd will be an agriculture and trades. I am not 100% sure if those are field trips or if those are going to be events at the school where people are coming over, but those are 3 things coming up throughout the rest of the month of May. And then some counseling news. So new family advocate hired mostly for drug and alcohol. Her name is Guadalupe Lopez. She has been amazing. She's great. She's getting paid out of a grant from Creighton. She's already met with a number of our students. She's going to be with us until Christmas next year. But every time we have any of those issues with any student at Jervis High School, if it's related to drug or alcohol, she's involved in those conversations and then meets with those students. We had a teen dating and domestic violence training yesterday for an hour with GMS and GHS, and it was great. I mean, I don't think Doug and I have had feedback about like a professional development thing that was as good as yesterday's. It was really, really good, because we do have some couples at the high school that are having some issues. Doug and I met with one of the students today for 45 minutes, and it pretty much took the wind out of us for the remainder of the day. It was a very hard conversation that we had with the young man, but it was a very good training. The counselors are doing some new groups. Let's talk about it. is a new thing that they are doing. And then also Intuned is a group counseling session that we've done for a few years now. We went to a Gear Up conference in Eugene for the Gear Up. What was the Gear Up Bond, or not Bond, but yeah, you guys know what I'm saying. And that was me, Hamlin Oropeza Poff, Julie Powers, Sophie Ferreira. We all went down there. So we're doing a lot of planning right now for next school year for everything that we learned at that conference. It was a 2-day conference. And then clearly seniors are finishing FAFSA scholarships, all that kind of stuff. That's been going on regularly. Community engagement. The T is on the bottom there underneath engagement. That was a typo on my part. But senior community service, we're pushing that really hard right now. We are trying to hold them accountable for their community service hours. So we've been pulling them in, meeting with them, trying to find opportunities. With the new food truck, there are some partnerships with Brooks Powerland that we're hoping to continue, that we planned for this summer. So hopefully that's still going to happen. The partnership with Brooks EMT, I have been told, is probably not going to happen anymore. I reached out to them this week and they kind of told me, we don't think so. So that's questionable, but we'll see. Waka, I'm looking at Jenny right now. She's tiny in my screen, but I'm pretty sure we're finalized. Jenny and I have been communicating quite a bit over the last week or two. But we think we're almost finalized with William Career Academy for students next year. And then, yeah, the agriculture students went down to GES and read books to the little kids. It was cute. That was awesome. I should have added some pictures of that. Training and workshops. Like I said, Oregon Gear Up Conference. Apergy is the new kind of platform that the district is using. We had some training on that. We continue to review attendance data because we're trying to focus a lot on attendance right now. We did a vertical alignment training, or I wouldn't say a training, but like a workshop. GMS and GHS got together and got in departments, and then we gave them some talking points and had them work through that. And then, like I said, that's a repeat, dating and domestic violence training with Laura Zarita. Seniors are in their final semester, and we know that, and we're getting, I'm not scared. I have a countdown on my whiteboard. We have 13 today. So tomorrow is going to be 12 days left for seniors. Graduation readiness meeting. We're meeting with all the seniors. We truly believe that we only have 3 to 4 seniors that will not make the finish line on June 4th, which is pretty good. And they're the kids that we've been working with a lot for the last couple of years. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And that's a repeat. Waka's finalized. I already said that. Athletics, go ahead, Doug.
Okay, thanks. No, I mean, the student council did a great job, but we're kind of in the final of our season as well. Softball's doing great. We're 13-7 overall. We're 10-3 in league. So we're second right now. We have a big series tomorrow with Regis. We won't win the league, but if we win one game, we'll finish second. And if we lose both, then we'll finish third. Then the playoffs will start. The league playoffs will start the following week. So we'll play either here, a doubleheader, or at San Am next week. And then state will start. And then track is, we'll probably send 6 to 9 athletes to Eugene this year. Hopefully districts go well. I think the big thing is we have a set date to do the turf. Excavations coming in. If the rain goes away now, we need the sun, but May 28th, they're going to start staging about the 26th. We'll start seeing cones in the district parking lot to block that off. We're going to take down the fence on the south side of the track so they can take dirt that way. But May 28th, they should be moving ground.
Yay.
So super exciting.
Yeah.
Are they gonna have to do anything to the track
Vehicles over it or? They're gonna put steel plates on it. We're hopeful that it doesn't sink at all, but, we're somewhat prepared. I had a track company come out and give us a quote for the whole track and that kind of stuff. So I said, we have 2 spots, so they're looking at those if something gets damaged there. So we're there. I can't wait till it's over. So it's gonna be great.
Yeah, a lot of big machines.
And then they'll start the softball field at the same time, but their focus is football at first. Gotta get that done before August 18th, before soccer and football start. Then they'll move and finish the softball field. So, big game tomorrow at home. If you guys want to come, it's gonna be super fun.
We had staff appreciation last week. It was a super fun week. Like, I decided to go, like Doug and I, both of us, we're going all out. So I don't participate in every Spirit Week, but that's why there's a few pictures of Doug and I, because I think we participated more than some of the kids did. But it was really fun. That top left picture you see is Doug and I as Run DMC. And we walked around on Friday and played Run DMC music in the hallway and handed out vests to the staff members. And the one underneath that is Doug. And so Doug and I were for construction day. We were flaggers on the hallway throughout the day. And so we had signs and we're stopping and going students to and from. And then that's me in a football jersey for athletic day. Top right, that was a taco eating competition from Taco Bell tacos that we did. And then underneath that, I don't really bring this up too often, but we do student of the month every single month, and we have the teachers line up in a row, and they call the students down from the bleachers, and they get a $5 gift card, and then they get a certificate. And so that's something we've done for a couple of years now. And then that bottom right, we had a softball or a kickball game just for fun. We brought the entire students out, and they just kind of sat around, and we had kids participate in kickball. And Adam Vossas, our PE teacher, and Lindsay McCarger, the Woods teacher, helped facilitate that. So it was a really fun week going into prom.
How many tacos were eaten?
What's that?
How many tacos won? How many tacos?
The next one is we had prom on Saturday. Sorry, those pictures aren't bigger. Prom on Saturday. That's our prom king and queen, Josiah and Addie. Those are the only 2 pictures I had, but it was really, really good time. We didn't have any issues at prom as far as student behavior. It was really, really fun. Doug and I were both there, so it was good. And then, so closing summary, continued growth, creativity and engagement at GHS. We're focusing on planning for a successful graduation and starting those conversations about planning for next year. Again, graduation, June 6th, 7 p.m. if you want to come. I would say one of our really big successes has been evening school. It's been really, really good. And that's all kudos to Poff, because he's just getting kids into the building. And so that last bullet point, summer school, hopefully we don't have a lot, because we're trying to get in front of it right now. But we will definitely, have some kids who need to come, but we're trying to get ahead of it before we need to.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
How many had participate in the Brooks EMT that you said might not be available anymore?
Yeah. We had 9 to begin with. I believe there's 6 that are currently still going.
And is that because they're just going to close that down and not do that anymore, or?
I think it's mostly a budget thing for them, to be completely honest. I don't know the full answer. I've reached out to them, and I know Andrea Oropeza, our counselor, also has, and we're not really getting like complete answers from them. So I'm not sure the full reason why. I know the kids who did it, like I know one boy is going to go into firefighting. I know another girl is going to go into nursing. So the kids who stuck with it, it's been very beneficial with them. Because I think they're going into those kind of careers. So I've reached out to them 2 or 3 times in the last month to try to get correct answers. and everything just sounds a little vague.
It does, especially for the ones that started. And I happen to know a couple of students that really wanted to participate and feel really good thing for them.
Yeah, and it's not, I mean, it's something Dandy and I worked really hard on for a couple years, so.
I'll call my person at Chemeketa and see if I can get anybody to return our phone call.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity. We didn't have a lot of kids. It's only for seniors. And we only had 9 that started the program. 3 of them dropped out pretty quick because they realized how hard it was, because it is a college level program. And so they were like, yeah, this isn't for me, which is fine. But I'd love to continue it if we can. So.
I mean, they just get to save so much money by doing that. And just like the manufacturing, kiddos that decide to go later on. And, if they could have done it when they were here, they would have saved themselves a ton of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys.
Tacos in 2 minutes, so.
Oh,
2 minutes.
terrible. That's terrible.
That makes my stomach
I
hurt.
feel like I'm gonna have. I am gonna say I had a meeting with Andrew and Doug. They came into my office and I look over at Andrew and he's got this blue shirt on with a patch and then his jeans and a puka shell necklace and a hat on backwards. And I'm like, what is this? I'm like, what are we doing? He's like, Abercrombie and Finch. It's like the 90s.
Then he walked in on us at the high school.
Yeah, I did. And then they're all with their Run DMC. I'm like, that's going on.
I loved that.
Yeah.
That was my Justin Timberlake look in high school, Dandy.
Did you say DJ Prom? Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Karen, you're up.
Okay, all right, I'm kind of going over page 29 a little bit with the, what I kind of put in my key financial comments. I talked about in that first bullet about moving the turf field expenditures back out of the general fund and into a 200 fund. So we can really see truly what we spent on it, but also have a fund set up where when we take money in for the turf field, we can put it in there for whenever we have to do repairs later on. So it just kind of want that placement there of really something we can look at historically too. But that did some other good things. We have appropriation in the 200s for capital improvements already kind of established. It's in the, it doesn't matter because they look at 200s as a whole, and we have it sitting like with the building proceeds just sitting there because we have to kind of have that offset of an expenditure not being used. So we have it for those expenses. If we left it in the general fund, we would need to do an appropriations transfer to move expenditures in the 4,000 function, which is capital projects, up to the general fund. So this just works out. It's much cleaner. It's much better set into there. I did reach out to Department of Education, the Fiscal Transparency Department, and we talked, and I kind of told them what my thinking is on as far as the transfer from the charter school fund into there to the 200 fund, because we didn't have the offset code for a transfer. So, you have a code, it's the expenditure code to bring it out, and then the revenue code to bring it in. But we don't have to change appropriations for revenue. It's just more of an expenditure thing. And so they felt like it was probably good to go with no formal process happening. And then, but they thought I should reach out to Department of Revenue, and they supported it. Yeah, you're good, because you've got the expenditures covered with the appropriations there. So we're all sitting there. Nothing is needed right now as far as appropriations transfer, supplemental budget, nothing. But in review, just today, kind of looking through things, I see that in the 200 funds, our 1,000 function, which is education in the classroom, is fairly high, is when I take in the appropriations. So I'm watching that very carefully. If I need to do something with appropriation transfer, what happened in June with that. There's a reason that happened. Our federal grants, as you know, are kind of like this precarious area that we don't necessarily know what's going to happen. And so we did not, normally there are a couple big ones that we leave and we'll transfer over, you know, maybe 200,000-300,000 from the big ones over to another year because they're always 2-year grants. We shifted, you know, some people that were new into the district, kind of new positions into some of these federal grants where it could be justified that we had done that to spend them all out this year. And that kind of saves us in the general fund some funds too, but we didn't want to risk them taking them away, you know, if we hadn't used. So we did that, but it also created a little higher on the side in the 200 funds for the 1,000 functions. So I am really watching that. I'm hoping some of the appropriations are just in food service and will kind of fall off when they don't need them. So I'm going to go through that a little in more, you know, fine detail with Melinda from food services to kind of work through that. So that I just wanted to point out is the only transfer that is kind of popping up on my radar, potential appropriations transfer at this point. And then what the consent agenda, we have our psychology services contract with JKW. There is a price increase of 4%, which seems reasonable as far as an increase. But she also asked for less hours. So the price increase is on her wage, her hourly rate. And so normally she does 1,040 hours, which is about 130 full days. And she wants to drop down to 910 hours, which is about 113 plus days. And so it's a little 130 less days. But, you know, that, you know, saves us a little bit of money as well in doing that. And if she feels like she can cover what she needs to cover for the psychology services, then that's fine. So we are presenting that to you for approval within the consent agenda. So I didn't know if you had any questions on anything in the finances. No? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, in my report, some of the stuff we'll go over in the bond update, and we'll also Maria was in attendance last night, so she can chime in on anything like that. Last Thursday, I went to the land use hearing meeting at the city, and it went fine. It doesn't appear that there's going to be any problem getting the changes in zoning. So part of the issue is that because everything is so old, many of sections of our property are still zoned residential, not public school. So like that's the field right there is residential. This field over here is residential. And so we just decided, okay, we need to like get it all clumped together. This is all the school district and it is not residential. And so they had to have technical assistance from whatever their county, city government group is. So she prepared a report. We had the consultants there. He presented a report. I got up and said, thank you for hopefully approving this because we need to just be able to move forward. And so I think at their next meeting, they're slated to approve it. So that was the big meeting that night. Yesterday I was at the Capitol testifying against House Bill 3881, which could directly impact our bond starting January 1st if it goes into effect. And basically what it is the proposal by the labor unions that any project that is funded by the Awesome Grant is required to have a percentage of the work done with an apprenticeship program. Right. And there's a penalty associated with if you don't have that. It's a $15 per hour charge where you could have used apprenticeship, that they will basically fine you. And so, I clearly had some opinions about why that would not be great, for schools. And so I testified as a superintendent who had trouble passing a bond in a community who's expecting us to deliver on our bond promise, which includes being able to spend the money the way we told them we were gonna spend it. And in all of our RFPs, we also give additional points or factors for consideration if they do have apprenticeship programs. I mean, if they have them, we want to try and honor that, but there are, quite frankly, a lot of small companies and contractors that don't have the ability to partner with labor approved apprenticeship programs. And then my other hat that I was wearing was I'm president of Oregon Small Schools Association. And so I pointed out that, 66% of your districts in the state of Oregon are small schools, and they're not all necessarily in the I-5 corridor. You have a whole slew of districts everywhere else in Oregon who can't even find substitutes, let alone contractors with apprenticeship programs. So that's why my testimony was we want to partnership. CTE is important, but this is not the mechanism to do that. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, it would start January 1st. So that could be a problem.
Thank you for.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, because I know how stressful that can be.
Oh, yeah.
too, and it's
Yeah.
just- But, oh, goodness, thank you.
It worked out okay because I also brought in the fact that my husband does own construction. And I understand the importance of family wage jobs in this construction industry. But that said, with my small schools hat on, this project doesn't make sense. So it went well. We'll still see what happens. The other thing that happened yesterday was the state revenue forecast came out, which was not good. And so, what we're being told now, and we have no numbers, right? So no numbers at all. What we are being told is that it's a zero chance that we're gonna get, increased special education funding to PATH. So we did budget as if we were going to get it, because that's what we were guided to do. So we budgeted at, rather than 11%, at 15%. Karen and I had initially kind of calculated what that amount looked like. It's probably close to $340,000 or $50,000. That now we have to figure out where we're going to pull that money from, which is going to result in some additional layoffs. And then we are just hoping to maintain the $11.4 billion with the governor's budget. We're hoping that that number doesn't go down. So if that number goes down, then that will require some more creative problem solving about what we're going to do for next year. So we're going to just solve one problem at a time. And so we'll get to work on that and keep you updated as we know.
No reasoning on why they weren't gonna give the extra money?
So the revenue forecast is down, the economy has slowed down a little bit. And frankly, I'm not surprised. Like I pointed out, even my husband's business, I keep getting phone calls from drywallers and plumbers. Hey, do you have any work? I don't want to lay my guys off. It's a little slow. I mean, people are just kind of afraid. So they're hanging on to everything. And and part of that is, the federal level issues and the uncertainty that happens there. So they have plenty of reserves, and everybody agrees, like in the first month of 24-month biennium, you can't just start pulling in your reserves right now because you don't know what's going to happen at month 13 or 14. So, we'll just have to get creative. So that's that news. I wanted to point out that Professional Development Day on the Snow Makeup Day. It cracks me up that Mr. Mulcair found this because this is what we're going to go over on that day, as well as drilling down to trend by district and grade level. So there's an additional report that then also talks about the different areas that your programs have been low or at or above, and for how many years. So that we're looking at this again at the longitudinal data, so that then it can drive that conversation about, okay, well, what do we need to hit on? It's not surprising our English language scores have improved because we've really been hitting
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
at the lower grade levels
Right.
or at the elementary school. And so we would expect that to translate up into the high school. We all know math scores are low. They are all across the state, but we also in this district had not been focusing on that and also had not had a K-12 curriculum up until this year that we adopted it. So we have brand new members this year. So there's room for growth, and that's part of the accountability framework, and also getting teachers to understand, like, I need them to keep their eye on the prize. Like, what is the standard I'm teaching? Do the kids understand this is the standard and the why? And do parents understand it? And so we've already done a working language art. It's going to get there. So, and I'm going to do the training for the middle school and high school, and then Sarah Bradley, your assistant principal at the elementary school, and Stephanie So, the math TOSA, are going to do the training at the elementary school. So, connect that with their staff that they respect. Okay, I think that's it for my report right now. We'll have more obviously to talk about in all the other items.
Anything on board focus, guys?
Just one, which is, I really hope that we're able to get really clamp down on the phone issue in high school, because I think maybe that we need to work a little harder to keep the phones out of the kids' hands.
Okay.
I happen to know that a couple parents have told me that their kids are texting them during school hours. And the kids are basically saying, yeah, no, I still have my phone. So that's not good. I think we can start maybe fresh for the year, getting going, and we'll really clamp down on that. And I think all of the teachers need to be held accountable for that. I really do.
And I completely agree. I mean, there is something that's coming out anyways, I think, from a federal level that's gonna be required that all phones are out of the classroom anyways. I was reading something just recently.
There's a current bill in one of the rulemaking committees, and it locally, the state level, about banning cell phones, and there's all sorts of pushback about. I don't know what's going to happen, but I mean, from my standpoint, we gave them a directive. You gave them a directive. We're asking them to manage themselves. If they're not managing themselves, then I guess we'll just tell them what to do. So,
I mean, I'm sorry to be,
Yeah.
to keep pushing this
Yeah.
point, but look at the scores.
Yeah.
That's what you have to look at.
Exactly.
That's, no.
Okay.
That's all I had on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Maria, did you want to talk about your perspective from the bond meeting last night? And I didn't get the slide deck. The architects didn't send me the slide deck today. I was going to share it with you tonight, so I'll just include it as a link for with that on your own.
It's nice to see that they actually have some drawings. I mean, even though I'm technically challenged because I can't see it, visit. I mean, I need to be
Things like this,
you don't see the I know. This looks super helpful. Yeah, hey, I thought it was like a football player. I mean, it is very hard. It's like, where is the road? So I can figure out where they're actually talking about. But no, it's exciting because they're gonna start this month on the roof at the high school, and then early next month they're starting at the grade school. So I mean, it's nice to see stuff coming together and where you can actually see a picture that. It's mumble jumble for me, but yes.
And I think it would be exciting hopefully exciting for the community when like the build starts, action starts happening, and people actually see things going on, knowing like, okay, this is real.
And it does sound like the community is very engaged. I think a good point that you had made during that meeting was talking about like prepayments. Can you talk? I know it's not feasible, but I think that people are starting to recognize it.
They were talking about the tariffs. I mean, what was his name? I can't remember.
Derek.
We're talking about the tariffs, and basically, you know, that there could be a tariff tax, basically more or less, what I would call it, depending on the supply issue. I mean, we just don't know. So it's like contractors come in, they bid, they don't know how much it's actually gonna cost the product. I get that. So I asked if they could prepay for that, but then you have storage, you don't, you have all these other factors that you may or may not be able to do. So, I mean, it's just one of those things that I think we're just gonna have to wait and see what the bill will be. So, I think the architects and the contractors building in is it a 4% what they said? You know, cost overrun kind of a thing, where I call it.
I mean, everything has a contingent. This was part of my frustration a few weeks ago when I said, because all of the numbers were coming in so incredibly high. And what was happening is that when we have a project, okay, you do your first part, and then you're adding tariffs and contingency, and then you turn it over to your workmate, and then she's doing her part, and then she's adding tariffs and contingencies to both yours. Then it goes to Henry, and he's doing it for all three. I'm like, could we just wait till it gets to the final person before we add tariffs in a separate column and contingency in one column, please? And, oh, well, what do you know, the price came. So,
Yeah. And
everybody's scared, right?
They are, but I think at the end of the day, I mean, when I start looking at our own stuff from a banking perspective, I'm like, no, nothing's changing.
Yeah.
Just keep doing
Yeah.
business as you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down.
Yeah.
Um,
What a hand wring.
yeah.
But in my,
Which takes
in
a
my,
lot of time.
in my industry, though, there's a lot of contractors that are buying all their appliances upfront. And we're storing them for them, and they pay a storage fee, because, you know, it's just a smart thing for them. So, I mean, you know, getting people to write $1 million checks just for all the appliances, and we store them for so long for them and things there. It's just, it's driving some sectors very busy right now and things there. So,
Right.
and I can see the same thing on these. We have to buy,
Yeah.
you know, boilers and things and all this other stuff that we have to buy. But we don't have the luxury of having a warehouse and be able to store things.
That's just
like
it.
that.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
my whole
Yeah,
thing. is-
where we do have that capability. Yeah. Yeah. It's a crazy time right now.
And I think the other one that was the most important thing is just looking at the middle school, where they gave you, here's the plan, and then there's another plan without like a full classroom, right?
Yeah, there's two plans, one with 4 classrooms, 2 science, 2 gen ed. And then another plan with 3 classrooms, 2 science, 1 gen ed. And the way the second plan is designed is that we know the 4 classroom modular, the oldest one, the 1991, is gonna have to be replaced in the next 10 years. So that, you know, the idea that we're gonna set ourselves up to go out for another bond when we qualify for the Austin grant again. So instead of doing a building with 4 classrooms, you just do a building with 5. And it will all be stick built, and they've got space in there to make that whole new section attached to the building and look like it's supposed to look, not just piecemealed together with modulars all around.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Consent items.
Or you have a second loose paper, a consent agenda.
Oh,
Loose,
right.
out of your packet. That's good.
I move that the Jervis District Number 1 Board of Directors approve the consent items. 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, and 7.5.
You have a motion?
Second.
You have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Consent items.
Is it the policy relation?
Yeah.
Deletion, medications.
Yep.
And then the approval for. Which one we doing? We're doing the deletion first?
Yeah, 39.
You've already approved the new policies, so we just need to delete these old ones.
Yes, and they're very long, so we did a good job by getting the shorter one. I went right over to Sandra,
Yeah.
I read the whole thing and was like, and she's like, you're deleting that. So thank you.
Oh, I read that for nothing.
Me too. He's like, I got that to read real quick. Yeah. I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approve to delete policies JHCP / JHCBA, JHCD, HDCDA -AR shown in action item 5-25-8.1. Wow,
Good
maybe
one.
I need to go back to.
I was gonna say maybe we should review our alphabet tonight.
No, I'm just like, yeah,
So we have a motion.
it pops up.
We have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
¿Qué más? What else? we got?
Okay, you have next action item that is just asking you to approve the additional $254,415 for the high school roof project. And so I have a handout I'll pass out to you. Talks about the plans for the summer roof, but what you approved last month was all of the gym and then only half of this one roof. They're calling it Area D. And they decided it would be better just to go ahead and do the whole Area D this summer and then the high school roofs too. So you need to approve an additional $254,000 to meet that requirement, that bid.
I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approves the $254,415 for the high school roof project for summer 2025 is shown in action item 5-25-8.2.
Motion
Second.
and second for discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So your next item is for the school board scholarship. I have you slated to go into executive session if you want to talk about the topics individually.
I actually.
And so then what will happen is when you come out of executive session, then you'll approve it, yeah. Discussion bond project update. So I wanted to pass this. I did get this from the contractor. So this is basically a copy of the logistics plan for the summer work with regard to the roofing. And so the first page you'll see it's titled High School Logistics. And you've got some yellowish zones here. They're gonna start this staging area, which is the middle school parking lot. They're gonna start that as soon as school gets out. And that staging area is gonna stay. Because that's where they will continue
Oh,
staging for when they start building the new building. That's my understanding.
So,
We'll have to do a plan for parking for middle school staff and parent drop off. We'll have to rework all of that this summer. And put, signs out.
so is that gonna actually block our driveway?
It's not gonna block the entryway.
the entrance. to the
It's
school
ju-
there.
it'll be flush with that.
Got it.
And then, as I said, the gym, this is the gym right here. And then this is the U. So these are like the science lab, the library media space, so that's gonna be done this summer. So the issue that we're wanting to, they are supposed to start on the 26th at the high school gym. And so there seems to be some confusion between the city and the county about if a permit is required and who is supposed to issue the permit. And so, this has been going on for weeks. And, I think today we finally got a partial answer. And so, it appears that there is going to need to be a structural permit. But we believe we have everything we need to give to the Marion County people, who will then turn the application over to the city for approval. So it's possible that this date will get delayed a bit. We do have a cushion built in. But yesterday I had to send an email to the city, letting them know that the longer this gets delayed, the more likely we are to have to pay overtime to get this done. before kids come back. And we don't have the money to be paying overtime for a project that was delayed because people can't figure out if there's a permit needed.
So weird.
Yeah.
That's what
So-
they do, right? And
So do they have to wait till the next city council meeting, or is it something that?
No, they don't have to
just
wait,
the-
it's not the city council, it's the city
So the
manager
manager
and
just has to sign
the
off on it.
county building officials have to get their pieces coordinated, so.
Cause I mean, like, that's technically, that's like right at the, I mean, like, we're hitting
yeah. I mean, they do
September,
have,
yeah.
they do have a cushion built in, but you know, that his biggest fear is he does not know what's gonna happen when he digs into the
Right.
gym roof. And so
And
it could be a problem.
this is gonna be during graduation.
They're gonna stop during graduation, so there can be no occupancy in the gym except for the Thursday before graduation, through that weekend. And so we'll be able to have graduation practice and graduation in the gym.
You know, the 8th grade too.
I don't know if 8th grade promotion is in here, but they've worked it out
Okay.
that we'll be able to do all of
Yeah, 'cause
that there.
Well, but that parking lot there won't be available for parking for the parents, then, right?
It will, no.
That'll be all blocked off for them, so.
And you know, if we have to open up, well, I mean, obviously we have this parking lot here, we can open up the gates and people can walk across and we'll
Yeah.
just advertise it.
100%. Yep. We'll figure it out.
Middle school is the second page, so you'll see there's the staging area. That starts on, June 15th and will go until August 31st of 2026. And you can see this black built figure, that's the new middle school. So they have created this construction zone. They'll be able to be building the new middle school, all encased in fencing. There'll be a safety plan for kids. And so we'll have about a year crazy parking situation
Yeah.
for middle school, but, we will figure it out. And then elementary school, their roofing project is slated to start on the 16th of June. Again, there's no issues with this one because we're having middle or elementary summer school in the K2 building. So they don't have to worry about occupancy. We're gonna totally shut that off. And because it's already not projected to start till the 16th of June, we're not worried about the permitting issue because we've got both permits going at the same time. So exciting stuff beginning to happen. Let's see here. And that's basically all I had for the bond for now. I gave you some information on proposed meeting calendar. You won't vote on this until June, but I wanted to have you take a look at it. One of the proposals is I put an asterisk next to the dates where it might make sense to combine a regular session with a work session if you wanted to eliminate the number of meetings. I think we can get a work session done in an hour. For the most part, we've been able to do that. And then a regular board meeting takes an hour and a half.
I like that concept. Combining, if ever,
Summertime,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm just
Yes.
unable to make the July.
Right, because you're gone, yeah. You can't.
And is that gonna be a Friday? That's a Friday.
No, it should be
The
Thursday.
18th is
Oh,
a Friday.
Is it?
Yeah, should be the 17th.
It should be the
July, I'm
17th.
still gone.
Oh, the 17th, my bad. So we'll have the right dates on this when we go to approve it. And, you know, y'all have elections next week, so assuming you're all gonna get voted in.
Might have some write-ins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We can use your write-in.
I hope Diego didn't do a write-in.
And then I also put down some dates for the bond advisory committee. Those are 10.
I think I'm gone on the 18th.
Do we need to look at moving the July meeting?
Because that, I think I'm in Nashville, it's still.
Maybe we can have the board meeting in Nashville.
Yeah, let's go.
But we're not.
Oh,
We're going early.
No.
Do you want to move it earlier?
So we're talking July 18th, is that what you're
Well,
talking about?
it's supposed to be the 17th, I put the wrong date down.
Oh, okay, I don't even, I mean, I'll be really honest, I got a new job, so you
Oh.
all just, my schedule is,
Okay,
Yeah, because we are gone, and I'm back on the 21st.
so why don't I send an email out to you guys, and it's okay for you to chime in on dates that work for you in July. I mean, I would, if you weren't all new, and then a new person taking Angie's space, I would say, well, maybe we could just forego the July meeting. But because we need to swear you in, and we need to elect a board chair, like, otherwise we wouldn't be able to do business.
could we go earlier on that one?
The 10th,
Yeah,
like the prior week, is that what you're talking?
Oh, July 10th?
Well, I just meant, you mean the week
Yeah,
before.
uh-huh, well, yeah, I'll be coming back from Mexico, but yes, 10th works.
the 10th would work for you?
I'll be back.
Does the 10th work for everyone?
It looks like it. I don't have anything right now.
Okay, so we'll set that as a tentative date, and I will send a text reminder. And if somebody looks at their calendar, like, oh, actually, then you'll have time to talk about it at the June meeting. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Here.
And Midco.
Yes, okay. Karen? Karen, can you come back to the meeting, please? Oh.
I need some time to have this repeated there.
Thank you. So, Karen, we're at the point in the agenda where I wanted to bring them up to speed on the, I mean, you can just sit in a chair or whatever. So we want to talk about Midco. So, I think earlier in the year, like even in the fall, we talked about trying to get the Midco contract ready to go so that the board could approve it. I wanted to do it in the spring before it was late. And so as Karen and I started working on the paperwork and the proposal, and we got a proposal from them, the numbers just didn't seem right. It seemed off. And so, Karen, feel free to jump in here anytime, but so we got these numbers, and so we had Stephanie do a really deep dive into the accounting piece and started to discover some things that explained why the numbers seemed off when we're eyeballing it.
So, yeah, so, you know, they have kind of a complicated bill that they send to us, and it goes out here and does a calculation here and goes out here and, you know, and comes back in. But when we were sitting and talking to him, he started handing these forms that he had never sent to me, which showed what the CPI should have been for the increase. And so we started looking back on some of the bills, and they weren't quite matching with what he had on there. But we noticed their increase, because their rent was always supposed to increase by that CPI too. That was always right with the CPI. It was the other pieces. And they were really different in different areas. It was kind of surprising. And then I just pulled a couple things out and looked and thought, something is wrong with how this has gone on through these years. So I had Stephanie go back 5 years and do just really detailed, look at the calculation, how it calced out, and compare it with what we first established is what should the rates have been, because the rates were not matching the CPI increases that they were saying they should have been.
And part of that was during COVID, so we were trying to find any paperwork. Okay, maybe did we agree to something in COVID that then just got kept rolling forward and didn't get retracted? Like what was it?
Yeah, and there was something where we gave them an extra perk to kind of retain their drivers and kind of, so there were some other little special things. So we kind of had to, okay, what were those? And was it one time, just that year, but then we continue on with the next CPI increase. So I don't know if you know where Stephanie came from, but she came from Oregon State University and she was a scientific researcher. And
So she likes them.
so we put her to the task. And she goes there, she can just take these things and go very deep, very long out to it. And she created her own spreadsheet. And in the end, over 5 years, and by the way, on some of these, they had underbilled. So it was like an underbilling, or they would calculate the wrong mileage location on the bill. So they, and that might be against us or for us.
And these are also not like big numbers at any one time. They're like
Small thing.
34 cents,
Yeah.
48 cents, 53 cents. And so and it would be different from 1 month to the next.
Right. And so, I caught some of them as I'm doing it, but I never had time for a deep dive in that way. So I would just say, hey, this doesn't look right, and oh, I made a mistake, and they fix it. And so anyway, by the time we were done with this very deep dive, 5 years, and including part of this year, we found our finding was that they had overbilled us over 150,000. And then they had their person get together with Stephanie. She explained what she had done on the deep dive. And they looked and they agreed. And, they had said that they had turnover. And so they weren't quite applying the rates right or something. They had a lot of turnover in their billing. And this billing doesn't happen here locally. This happens over in Pendleton with their headquarter office. And so, anyway, Stephanie does the Midco bills completely, Bada. Yeah. She's very skilled in it, but, you can take over from that
So,
point.
it took a little bit to get to, as you can imagine, to get through all of this and then to get to a point where we agreed it should be, what should the rate be? And then, agreeing what is the rate gonna look like moving forward? And so, we're still working on a couple of pieces on that, but I believe we've got it nailed for this coming year.
Mhm.
If we can't come to an agreement on what it looks like the rest of the time, we're only gonna go with this coming year. Because it's too late now to go out for an RFP for transportation for this next school year. And if we can't come to an agreement, then in December, we'll put out an RFP to go out to bid for, a possible new transportation contract. I think that the reason I'm willing to just, give them this chance, is because, because the mistakes sometimes favored us, but sometimes didn't. I don't think it was a purposeful trying to.
Make money from it.
No.
And they're also really good partners. I mean,
Yeah.
their drivers are really good.
Oh,
They
yeah.
really care about us. And I've been on the other side where the transportation department only sees you as just this number, and they don't really care about customer service. And and so I'm hesitant to just say, okay, well, we're gonna move forward. Now, the payment plan is gonna be
10 months.
10 months, $5,000. No,
Well, it would be 15,000
sorry,
for 10 months. About something
Yeah,
will change.
so it's gonna be paid off this next year. And we'll have the
there.
money back.
Our money back,
Mhm.
is what we get. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah, well, we get it back.
Yep.
I don't care how.
And you're working, you guys are working together, so it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Well, that's good.
And Andy's right, like our drivers are really great.
Yeah,
We've
we've
got
got a great
with our
team.
kids, we
Mhm.
have like a really good relationship, and that matters.
Yeah.
So
It's huge.
With kids, with families,
Mhm.
I mean.
Yeah.
And
they're
they've
awesome.
been very good through this whole deep dive. And they could see, oops, something has happened first. First, we said, can we just get a starting place? So we know what we're increasing each
Yeah.
time. So we had to get to that, and then we started moving forward. But just in our meetings, there's been no,
Right, yeah.
it hasn't been like this angry or,
No.
they've been really, they've taken responsibility for it, and, now we're moving
That's
forward.
good.
So.
Big.
Yeah,
So
good job.
Thank you.
we'll have some kind of contract for you to consider in June. And also a MOU, I think he said he'd give us for the payment plan.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Karen, we're investing somewhere.
Exactly.
Looks like we're done. We have
Executive
to go
session.
into executive session. Everybody need a break or we're good to go?
No, I'm good.
So we're out of. Now